Hey YouTube, Satoshi Matrix here yet again, bringing you another video. I recently hit 400 subscribers here on YouTube, so I want to give a big thank you to all my new subscribers and give you all a nice little bonus of a new video. So this time, I want to talk about a new Famiclone that I recently picked up called the Famulator. That's right, the Famulator. A nice play on words for Famicom and emulator. The Famulator, as you can tell, looks like basically a original HVC 001 Famicom that's been cut, so the back part of it's not there anymore. Yeah, so let's take a look at the system. On the front, you see this awesome reflective sticker panel that's just like the real Famicom. The power button, the reset button, controller 1, controller 2, which are unfortunately DB9 pin as opposed to, DB15, which is the Famicom standard, or 9-pin NES, which is the North American NES standard. So unfortunately, you can't use controllers for real Famicoms. You have to use Famiclone controllers. But luckily, this thing comes with a very nice controller. But before I get into the controller, I want to talk about the rest of the system. The top of it, the cartridge bay doors have a nice springy load to it. I don't know if you can see the springs in there. Yeah, I guess you can. Yeah, it's really nice, nice feel to that. It doesn't feel cheap at all. On the back, you can see a very simple power system where it has the power supply, which is an 8-volt AC or 8-volt DC plug. This is actually the only Famicom or Famiclone that I've ever seen that has an 8-volt input. It's 8 volts, 200 or 350 milliamp current, with a polarity of center pin positive if you need to find a power supply for this clone. Other than that, it just has, the standard composite video and mono sound. So that's the system. Very small. Compare that to the size of a game cartridge. This Super Mario Brothers here. Put in Super Mario Brothers, you can see Famicom games are not that big to begin with, but when a Famicom game is in there, it's basically the size of the system. The system is very, very tiny. Word of caution when you're importing these things, they were only sold in Japan. They may have been also sold in Korea as well. I'm not sure on that. But anyway, you would definitely have to import these because they weren't sold in North America or Europe or anywhere else. It's an NTSC clone. It has a 7805 voltage regulator that's located about here. But one thing I could say about this clone is the 7805 has no heatsink on it. So if you're getting one of these, I highly recommend you pop the screws out from the bottom, take it apart, and add in some sort of heatsink to the 7805 that's there. You want to do that to dissipate some heat, even though that this system is obviously not a high power system, but it's important that you add a heatsink. So I did, and yeah, so now this thing is completely safe. Okay, so moving on, let's talk about the controller. This is the controller for the Famulator. As you can see, it is a very narrow controller. This controller, the buttons on it barely protrude out of it. The buttons actually feel very similar to a GBA SPs, if you've ever used one of those. The D-pad, the A and B and start and select, and the 2 turbo buttons. The controls actually feel rather responsive, and even though the controller is very small, you can put one half of your hand directly over almost half of the controller. Even though the controller is very small, it's a very nice and responsive feel to it, making this probably the best DB9 Famiclone standard controller that you can buy. So for that reason alone, this system is worth buying. So let's plug it in. You can see the DB9 port. Plug that into controller port 1. Then grab the 8-volt power supply that's powered by center pin positive. Let's plug that in. There we go. Sorry. And plug in the power. Or plug in the video and audio signals. I'm having a brain fart today. There we go. Plugged in. Alright. Let's turn it on. And let's see the performance of the Famulator. Is it a good NOAC? Is it a bad NOAC? We'll find out. So there's Super Mario Brothers. So the first thing you can notice is, yes, it has the vertical bar issue that plagues many Famiclones and even the NES2 top loader that was released in North America. Unfortunately, I don't think that you can do anything about that for a Famiclone, unfortunately, but whatever. It's one of those things you gotta live with. So we'll take the awesome controller, we'll press start, we'll find out what else is wrong. So obviously you can tell the music is off. It's definitely the Famiclone type of music that's not correct. Oh yeah, you can see those bars. Alright. Let's take this out. Probably have to put it down. There we go. Let's try something else. Let's try Rockman 2. Put in Rockman 2, press power. Gives the date, when it was made, who it was made by. Rock Band 2. Let's go to Airman's theme again. Well, I don't know, but the Famiculator does a fairly good job with the Airman NSF, so, you know, not too bad. Again, you can see the bars, but the actual colors are pretty good. There's default fire, default jump, turbo fire, turbo jump and fire. Alright, turn it off, pull that out. What about expansion Famicom audio? So put in Akumajo Densetsu, or the Japanese version of Castlevania 3. That has a special sound chip, the VRC6. Will the Famulator play the VRC6 correctly? No. The answer is no. Unfortunately, this thing only is a clone of the 2A03, which is the onboard sound chip slash processor. So when you try and load this game, although the game itself will run, the VRC sound chip that is telling the game to produce extra sound channels is not actually functioning. So you end up hearing something that's like this. Alright. Pull that out. So that's that, but what about NES games? So we'll take our adapter for 60 to 72 pins, plug that in. Let's grab Ninja Gaiden 3. Plug that in, turn it on. Ninja Gaiden 3 being one of the most technically advanced VRC 3 games for the Famicom / NES. This game is absolutely beautiful. Even though the North American version is impossibly hard. Harder than the Japanese version. So as you can tell, it works. Let's try something else. Down. How about Mega Man 6? Take the adapter, plug it in. Take Mega Man 6, plug that in. Mega Man 6 was one of the last NES games released in North America. So as you can see, Mega Man 6 works perfectly. Again with the vertical line issue, but unavoidable. Turn that off. Down. Take the game out. How does this clone handle the VRC5? Or, yeah, the MMC5, I should say. Let's put in Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse. Plug that in. It boots up. Press start. And yeah, there's Castlevania 3, actually playable on a Famiclone. Turn it off. Put this down. Pull this out. How about other games? Let's plug in a Tengen game. Here's Pac-Mania. Tengen. Unlicensed games running on an unlicensed system. Let's try it out. There's Pac-Mania. So obviously you can tell this works. Let's take that out. How about another unlicensed game company? Color Dreams. There's Bible Adventures. I guess it's dirt. Of course it's dirty. It's Color Dreams. There it is, Bible Adventures. Let's boot up the best game ever. Go, Moses, go! Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. One last thing I want to show you. That's pretty amazing. The power pack. Will the power pack work on this clone? Let's find out. Plug it in. And turn it on. And what do you know? It actually boots up. Let's try a game. Just for the sake of argument, let's try Super Mario Brothers. How about Mario 3? Super Mario Brothers 3 on the power pack on a Famiclone. What do we get? Or it's actually Mario Chronicles. What do you know? Anyway, just proof of concept. Anyway, thanks for watching, YouTube. Later.